The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good.
Hi, Tom.
How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal Edge. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico de Haan and Paige Clarke.
Hey, good morning. I'm Nico de Haan, and welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced and natural wild world.
That's right, Nico, to recover our natural health and regain our rights and our freedoms. And I'm Paige Clarke. Good morning.
And it's a beautiful, cool morning in downtown St. Petersburg, 50 degrees right now, and going up to maybe 60. I don't know. It's not getting very warm out here.
Now we get to wear a little winter clothes.
I like it.
I'm wearing my little blue jacket that I never get to wear.
Well,
Hey, make sure and subscribe to our Health Signals newsletter.
Yes.
We come up with some great stuff. News you can use to stay healthy and connected with real news.
Yeah, and this one just came out, and the next one from now on is going to be the 1st and the 15th.
Easier to remember. I think that was a great
remember.
idea. I like this. Why exercise alone won't save us, like they said.
Well,
Sitting is the new smoking.
Yeah, and quite a few articles in here about exercise and what we should be doing and shouldn't be doing, of course, and why exercise is such a big part of our life. Also like to remind you to please pick up our Primal Edge, our one-shot wonder. Over 310 organic cell-ready liquid ingredients, all based in there to make you healthy.
Powered by nature's miracle molecule, fulvic and humic acid.
And that gets the good stuff in.
And the bad stuff out.
Yeah, and the number here is 877-927-6648. Now, I want to start today, of course, we're going to be talking about the Earth's catastrophes, which I mentioned last
you've got
week.
a great series that you've been reviewing by Ben Davidson.
Yeah.
And that's kind of going to be really, I hope you're going to set it up for people.
I hope I can too.
I mean, because I'm still working through the series.
Yeah.
And
well, it's a lot of material.
right.
Too.
But I like this idea too. You put this in here because everyone is kind of starting their new year.
Yeah.
And the last thing we need to do is feel discouraged, right?
Well, no doubt about that. So let's talk about Jillian Michaels, because this has been all over the news. I've seen several articles, people slamming Jillian Michaels, and she is slamming the keto diet. And she says, why would anybody think this is a good idea?
Yeah, she stopped by the Office of Women's Health to actually talk tips.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of went off on a trendy diet that she says gets her fired up, and that's the keto diet. She just doesn't like it.
She said, I don't understand why anybody would think this is a good idea.
Yeah, she said, I mean, everyone's really using the keto diet. Haley Berry, Mick Jagger. She says it lacks nutritional sense. And, we know that she was on The Biggest Loser for people.
And if you go to...
How they doing?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's for sure. And they work those people to death, and their philosophy is you go onto a low-fat diet, because low-fat means you're not getting a lot of fat, so you won't put on a lot of fat, which we've proved over and over again is the wrong regime. But she also, if you go to her website, she's sponsored by a part of the food industry that makes carbohydrates.
Right.
And package these carbohydrates. So that's one thing.
It's kind of like connecting the dots in politics and so forth, too. You find out who's sponsoring who.
Now, according to her, she says we're literally made up of protein, fat, and carbohydrates, and nucleic acid. Now, we're not made up, our cells are made up of protein and they're made up of fat, but certainly there's not any carbohydrates in there. Carbohydrates are outside the cells. Mm-hmm. So she really doesn't know her science.
Yes.
I don't know if she just misspoke on this, but a lot of things she says doesn't really make any sense. She says, why would you eliminate a lot of nutrition? Now, we've also learned that the animals that we eat the plants, and that's how we get our nutrition. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with adding to that, adding some greens and things like that. Where people run into trouble, we found out through this show and through all the sources that we've been investigating, is that primarily in the past, we probably ate a heck of a lot more meat. And we probably didn't eat a lot of carbs because the carbs out in the wild just aren't there. And that we've learned that our people have learned to season our meats and things like that with those herbs and carbohydrates to season them. And during hard times, we eat more of those things.
I think that really is a key point there, that we have to eat what's available.
Yes.
And at different points in time, when we were covered in tremendous sheets of ice, I don't think they're going to be finding a banana or a bean sprout.
Or any kind of carbohydrates, and maybe not a lot of animals either. So that means that we have to turn to something else, something that we can save for a long time. Imagine a winter that lasts 2 years. Mm-hmm. And now we don't have anything growing, so we've saved some rice or some wheat. Mm-hmm. And those things, we figured out, well, it doesn't taste very good raw, so we have to do things to them. And sooner or later, because we're smart people, we survive because we had these things. And somewhere along the line, they become the holy bread and the holy grain. Mm-hmm. Because we better have these, because the next time it comes around, if we don't have this. And that's my whole philosophy on this thing, is that she's really wrong, because she's promoting things that are going to make her money. And she kind of has to do that. People are kind of fixed into those things. We have to say things because it's part of our job.
Yeah, her summary was, to make a very long story short, avoid the keto diet and common sense. Again, that insulting comment that she knows best. And quite frankly, I am bored to death with people arguing about being right on the food chain. I think we have to look at history. And, then yet, I've got a lot of people who believe from a spiritual standpoint, we were talking about Santos Panacci, makes it very difficult. He feels that we need not to eat animal foods to reach higher consciousness. Well, perhaps in an environment where we're a Garden of Eden type of environment, maybe that's what everything was.
A lot of my heroes, like Wim Hof. Here's a guy who he taught me the breathing things, and you look at, he's a vegetarian because he thinks this is the way to go. And God bless him, he looks great, and he's doing great. He's in his 50s. I think he looks like he's older, myself. So when I look at people who are on a ketogenic or a type of primal diet, I wouldn't say Atkins, because Atkins never considered the quality of food.
More of a traditional diet that's they're having good healthy fats and proteins.
And when I look at people who are on that, they look a lot better. And people who have switched, certainly I have switched about 10 years ago. And it was a progression. I didn't switch all at once, although I did in a sense, but I didn't get the whole thing about the fat. I just eliminated the carbs. And then slowly but surely, I know I needed fat, and I learned. So it's a progression for everybody. I think everybody has to go through whatever they have to go through to get on the proper diet. But I really do believe, because of our ancestors, we have nailed it, that we have to begin with the meat, and then you can add other things. And when rough time comes, we have to eat whatever we can.
Yeah, I do believe if we experience the kind of snow that they're having in Europe, and I do have to laugh at how the left's Green New Deal is going to involve global warming and involve all of that. I think you and I, we've kind of beat that horse.
Well, I mean, look at the winter now. It might be a fluke. There's no doubt that can happen. But progressively, I see the winters getting rougher in Europe and in here.
They certainly have in Europe.
Yeah,
yes.
And they certainly have here, too. We're getting those big, deep, cold events are coming, and they're still coming.
Hey, we have to take a short break, guys. We'll be right back.
Yeah. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated folic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com. Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large-cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-873-7618.
So welcome back to the show. So I thought about this whole thing, and I've been doing a lot of research on the catastrophe cycle. And I just want to begin by really describing how I started in this whole thing. And it was really back in the early 1990s. I was living out in California, really didn't have a lot of friends, so I started doing a lot of research. And
you didn't have the internet really back then.
I didn't really have the internet back then. It was just kind of beginning. So I was getting books, and I ran across a few books. I looked at the Bible, especially those first 5 books of the Bible, the Torah. And we know that, you know, the planet has gone through different changes throughout history. And the thing that always seems to spring up is the 12,000 years ago. You got the Mayan calendar. That ended in 2012. You've got the Bible talking about the floods. Then I picked up some things from Graham Hancock. At that time, he wrote one of his first books, and he was really talking about the pyramids, and, you know, he's got a lot of stuff he talks about. And he mentioned that all these monuments all around the world don't seem to coincide with what we think history of the human being is, because about 5,000 or 6,000 years ago, we were hunter and gatherers, and then all of a sudden in Egypt and in Peru and in Lebanon, all these huge structures go up with stuff we can't build today. And that, to me, never made any sense.
Well, it makes sense if you look at that one video I was showing you, where we visualize that there may be civilizations living in slightly different dimensions that are kind of parallel.
Well, that's true, but let's stick to this dimension right now. And, you know, what we have found is that when you really look at some of the things like the Sphinx and like the Great Pyramid, is that it seems like they were repairing it in Egyptian times. So if you built it in 2500 BC, why in 2500 BC are you repairing it?
You mean 25,000?
2500 BC.
Okay.
5,000 years ago, approximately. The Sphinx, they say, was, you know, at the same period, but it looks like from the evidence that Hancock and Robert Bauval and some of the guys from Boston University came out and said, well, this is weathering from water. And water hasn't been here for 10,000 years. So what's going on? So that's when, for me, it kind of started, wait a minute, there's a different history there. Then maybe back in the late 90s, Göbekli Tepe, who's in Turkey, was found to be probably deliberately buried, but they're not sure. It definitely was buried all the way to the top. So what's going on here? So something has happened, and we are kind of a species with amnesia. And this is what Graham Hancock has always said, that we have forgotten. And why have we forgotten? And some of the things that were said, well, a comet. In Göbekli Tepe, if you look at some of the statues, they have a person there pointing to something in the sky, like a comet coming down.
Like, yeah, they're making note of things that we need to pay attention to.
Yeah, and also there is many glyphs all around the world, and this is in every country, every continent. There are glyphs with patterns that we don't know what they are. But if you go into the laboratory, and when I talk about the laboratory, I'm going back to suspicious observer Ben Davidson and his crew, who have a laboratory of plasma, then they come up with all these figures. In the plasma, you can see the little stick man with the globes underneath. You can see the circles with 56 points around, which is a plasma formation. So Hancock and all these people have started saying, well, maybe these people were actually seeing these things. So maybe the catastrophes that we said were millions and millions of years ago were perhaps when we were alive. So, and when you look at these petrographs all around the world, they're not quite the same. It's like something happened over here. This guy saw it from this angle. This guy saw it from this angle. This guy saw it. So you have three different drawings from not quite the same thing, but it's from a different viewpoint. Kind of like the Hebrew letters. Hebrew letters started out with the formation of this, and when you change this is maybe A, B, I don't know what they are, but that's how you change what the letter is, and that's the formula for the Hebrew letters. And that's why the Torah, you know, the Jewish people says, we can never change this because this is too important to change, because this is the original. And we have to keep the original to know the code. Now, a couple of people I talked to and have read about, Douglas Voigt is one, saying that this was the code that he discovered. And of course, there are a lot of theologians have discovered that code in the Bible, and it's a very fascinating thing. So when I was reading Graham Hancock, you know, once I got on the internet, there's so much stuff, and a lot of it's garbage, but a lot of it's really good too. A lot of it's metaphysical, which I can't really get into, but what I discovered, of course, Ben Davidson.
And let me just interject there. I think I'm more attracted to the more metaphysical explanation,
and there's
the
nothing wrong with
multidimensional.
that.
And I think what we're really saying is that there's the truths interlate somewhere together.
Well, again, you're looking at it from one angle, and I'm looking at it from another angle, and we're looking at the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we're describing things differently. I don't have a problem with that at all. So then
many of these people have great information.
No doubt about it.
You know, there's no doubt.
Yeah. So that's when I discovered Ben Davidson with suspiciousobserver.org, and I recommend everybody
That's when
go
I
there.
first kind of met you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we actually had him on the show.
We had him on the show several times, and we talked about the climate change, and we talked about going into the grand solar minimum, and now we're really talking also about the poles flipping, because that's happening. The pole is going faster than it ever has in recorded history, traveling as many 40 miles this year, which it's been going on about 2 miles. You know, all of a sudden it's picking up speed and going towards Siberia, and Ben Davidson and their crew thinks it's going to end up in the Indian Ocean, and that's when the pole will flip. So that's kind of setting things up. So when we get into the next segment, I want to really go over the CIA story that just came out. It came out a couple of years ago. Now it's everywhere in the interweb, and it's kind of an interesting story because they declassified it, so that means it was classified before. And it's on the CIA website. It's on other things too. And so I definitely want to go into that, because all of a sudden they have a story come out, and the story is about catastrophe that is on a cyclical nature. In other words, they're saying now that every 12,000 years this happens, and they have proof for the 5 previous ones. And the proof is not just here on Earth. They had it on the moon, they had it on sediments in Mars, and they found it on asteroids, and it's the same thing. So when we get back, we're going to talk about that. Now, I wanted to remind people, please pick up our Health Signals newsletter. The new one is going out today, folks. It's $10 a month. You get it twice a month on the 1st and the 15th of every month. And this follows the show. So in other words, the next newsletter is going to be what we're talking about today and next week. This is really talking about what we talked about the past few weeks, a lot about exercise.
And it gives you a little bit of links to follow up so you know that we're actually getting this information from someplace.
Yeah, and I'm putting most of the stuff in there is kind of along the ideas that we have. Well, some of the negatives I put in there too, just to give you an idea of, you know, both sides of the story. The other thing I want to do is come up with the Primal Edge. Primal Edge is really important to us because this is how we support the show, and this is really what supports our health. I start my day every day with the Primal Edge.
We call it our one-shot wonder.
Yeah.
You can have it too.
That's for sure. $89 brings it to your door every single month, folks. So please subscribe to both of those things, and Paige and I will be right back.
Would like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today. The TAS Profile Scanner is the most revolutionary piece of trading software that you will ever try. Wouldn't you like to approach the markets with confidence? As you begin your trading day, it's likely that you'll be faced with lots of decisions. In order to make the best decision, the first thing you'll need is a strategy that will help you minimize your risks. Whether we're in a bull or bear market, a good strategy is to have the tools needed to help you scan and analyze the markets before you trade. The TAS Profile Scanner instantly scans and filters over 2,500 global financial markets, such as stocks, ETFs, commodity futures, and Forex. Headed by Steve Dahl, president of TAS Market Profile, the TAS Profile Scanner understands that in today's technological world, the use of top-flight software applications, automated trading algorithms, and technical analysis expertise is essential to successful trading in today's market. Whether you're looking at the trade matrix, the ETF heat grid, the market breadth, the landscape charts, or the many other features of the TAS Profile Scanner, this is a piece of software that will revolutionize how you look at the markets and set up your trades. The team at TAS has even put together a 12-part video series to walk you through every aspect of the TAS Profile Scanner, which you can find directly on the TAS order page at tfnn.com. Sign up now for only $97 a month with a risk-free 30-day trial, so you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. See for yourself how you can harness the full power of the TAS Profile Scanner by visiting the front page of tfnn.com today, and you'll find the TAS Profile Scanner under the Services section. Remember, with a 30-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to lose. Don't let another day pass you by without trying out this amazing piece of software that will revolutionize how you look at the market and how you place trades. Sign up today.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Hi, and welcome back to the show. So we're talking about the Earth catastrophe cycle, and right now we're right on the website of the YouTube, suspiciousobserver.org. But if you just go to Earth Catastrophe Cycle and put it into YouTube.
And currently there's 13 videos, right?
Is there 13? I think there's 11.
Oh, no, it says 13
Oh,
up there.
there's 13? And
in
there's
this
13.
series. Okay,
Yeah.
so
it's-
watch them in order.
Yeah, watch them in order, and the first one is really talking about the CIA and the papers that came out. And I'm not going to read that. He reads the first chapter of it. He's quite an eloquent speaker, so it's enjoyable to listen to it. But embedded in here, he's got Velkovsky, who wrote, the Worlds in Collision, and other scientists that talk about this too. So basically what the CIA paper starts out saying, and it's got a lot of other stuff in there, but when you get to the part about the Adam and Eve, it describes in California that there's some shaking going on, and all of a sudden the globe kind of stops for a little bit, and the water, of course, doesn't stop. So if you take a plate full of water and you go real fast and then you stop real fast, the water keeps going. And this is the premise of the whole thing. So what happens, of course, you have a 1,000 or 2,000 foot tidal wave, and it washes across all of North America, and it doesn't get any better when you get to Europe, because even though the Atlantic is a lot smaller, there's still a lot of water and it's really deep. So what we have basically is probably 99% of the species of Earth being gone, and a few survivors. And of course, if this did happen, then you and I are part of those surviving team.
Right.
And if this happened 5 times before that, we're still part of the survivors. So we know that people survive. Now, throughout the whole story, they mention a lot of things about Einstein, and they mention the other scientists that were talking about this and how they were confused about certain things. The point of the whole thing is that back in 1966, they classified this whole thing. And while this was going on, and from 1961 to 1966, they were investigating this whole thing. In 1966, they decided to bury it, probably figuring, well, this is kind of scary. Why scare the masses? We don't want panic on our hands, if that's the case. The other thing was, and I just lost my train of thought on that. So they buried it, and they brought it out a couple of years ago. And then slowly but surely, people started picking this up. And the story is very similar to the comet that Baval and Hancock and all these other people were talking about too. And that's how I ran into Douglas Vogt. I ran into him from the Suspicious Observer.
Right.
Now, he's a scientist. He's quite interesting guy. He's a scientist. He's an archaeologist. He's got many, many degrees, and he started working on this problem. And he's actually gone out to the Sinai Peninsula and said he found Mount Sinai. He found out where the cave was that Moses got the tablets out of, so all this thing. And he's kind of an egotistical guy, so a lot of people get put off with his thing.
Is
but
this
he
his
said,
book, Reality Revealed?
That's one of his books, I believe, yeah.
Yeah. He's a geologist and science philosopher. He's...
The first information theory of existence explains many of the hardest phenomena in the universe, such as the causes of the ice ages, polar reversals, mass extinctions, gravity, light, pyramid energy, Kellerian photography, psychic phenomena, and many more. So he gets in a lot of those things. He's a pretty good speaker, and he explains a lot of things. He's got 1 million videos on his, and his name is the Die Holt Foundation. So he has a lot of videos, very interesting stuff. Hard to get through a lot of it because he has so many of them. But I recommend, if you're interested in this stuff, to go to it. But definitely I recommend going to Ben Davidson's site and seeing all of these. He's quite good at doing these. And this is going to be an ongoing process because in February he's got
there's a big convention.
A convention which is Observing the Frontier. And I think this is the 3rd or 4th year that he's been doing this. And Volt is going to be there, and a couple of other scientists that are investigating this stuff. So it's pretty interesting. So what they have found, and what the CIA said, and other scientists now are quite on board on this, that every 12,000 years something happens, and they think and Voigt is pretty much in with this. He says it's actually not a comet. It's actually what the sun builds up a crust, and then it throws partial crusts off. It's called a mini-nova.
Yes.
Now, mini-novas have been observed on a pretty regular basis on some stars, not all stars, because some of these cycles are so long we may not be seeing them. You know, if it's 1,000 years, we certainly haven't seen them. We've only had the telescope for 300-400 years. So what they're saying is that our sun does it about every 12,000 years, and so it throws off this stuff. And what happens when they throw off, of course, you get a huge burst of energy, which is heat, that melts things everywhere. And then behind it, you get that wind, and you get the water, and then everything kind of clouds over, and you get cold. And cold happens, they say, in one day. It's like they found the extinction of the large animals in North America. They found a mammoth with the flowers still in its mouth and flowers still in its stomach. Now, that can only happen if it's frozen solid immediately within a couple hours. It can't happen any other way. So they know this stuff happens. So that's good. That's the scary part. Of course, you and I being survivors, we know we can survive, right? So the interesting thing with Doug Vogt is that he actually has established a date. He says, I can tell you the month it's going to start. Little egotistical guy,
Right.
you know, that's what I meant by that.
I've read a few too many people who've promoted that they know
Yes,
calculated
and
dates.
we've had this scenario on and on. But he says the date is 2046. I'll be 102.
Yeah,
So-
26 years from now.
26 years from now. So I can see that the CIA, if they had this date, and they didn't, he hasn't. But if they had any kind of inkling that it's been 12,000 years, they definitely don't want every, I mean, imagine if you know 20 years from now, what would you do? If you know 2 years from now, imagine if you knew it was 6 months from now, what, would you go to work?
No,
No,
right,
of course not. So it's a disruptive type of thing.
But this is the kind of thing that's been going on for ages with the Bible. You know, people were thinking the rapture is going to happen, Armageddon's going to happen.
Right.
So, or maybe this serves a purpose being released at this time because there are some groups that are using fear to create different energies.
A lot of stuff
today.
on the web about, you know, fear-based things, no doubt about it. An interesting fact before the break is that from 1961 to 1966, when the CIA was doing this, is when Cheyenne Mountain was being built. Of course, this is a huge under-earth caverns that stretch all the way into Wyoming, they say. Hundreds of miles, and they've been spending a lot of money on it. And of course, we just had last year they did an audit, and they're missing $22 trillion, and this was housing. In the housing department. Wait a minute. If we saw that $22 trillion worth of housing, I think we'd see it above ground, right?
Oh, no, there's whole...
So they're building stuff
Right.
underneath, for sure.
Right.
And why wouldn't you if you knew this? Because in Turkey, in Italy, we find all kinds of caverns, miles and miles of them, ancient caverns that our ancestors used, probably the survivors. And maybe they knew ahead of time. And well, when we get back from the break, I'm going to go into more of Volt's stuff because he says this has happened more over and over again. And something that Hancock often said that we have amnesia about this. So let's take a break and we'll be right back. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
No matter what kind of trader you are, 2018 is a great time to try out a subscription to Tom O'Brien's Gold Report. Whether you just plan on diversifying your portfolio with some exposure to gold and gold mining equities, or you're a gold bull that sees 2018 as the year of commodities, now is a great time to sign up for the Gold Report. Tom O'Brien publishes his Gold Report every Monday morning before the market opens and covers a variety of topics including gold, silver, platinum, copper, the XAU and HUI, the dollar, bonds, South African rand, as well as more than 20 of the most actively traded mining equities. Start your 2018 off with a bang and sign up for the Gold Report today. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. For all the details and to start your subscription right now, visit the front page of TFNN.com and you'll find the Gold Report under Investment Newsletters. David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
And welcome back. So let's go on now with the Diehold Foundation. So you can find this at dieholdfoundation.com.
And this is Voigt's site.
This is Voigt's site, and he's got a lot of stuff on here. So what he's basically saying is that the information that we got through Moses from those first 5 books in the Bible actually came from a intelligence that was here before us. Maybe from the last cycle, maybe from the first cycle. He doesn't know. He doesn't know how many cycles there were, but we've identified 5, according to the CIA, according to other scientists, and also according to Vogt. It's a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of videos in here. These are some of the particles that you find on the moon, and we find them here on Earth in different layers, and that's why they know it's happened 5 times. They found 5 different layers of this at different times. So that's interesting. He says there probably were 5 previous civilizations that were probably even more advanced, because through that Taurus Bible, the Torah, the Bible, is the code, he says. And it's very confusing to me. He's got a lot of information there. Maybe it's beyond me. I don't know. But
I think you can learn a lot from that based on Santos's work, because syncretism is using the language and explaining it from, and he teaches a lot from that.
Yeah, so in here he has a lot of information about what they found on the moon, what they found here, and Ben Davidson had some clips of the old moon shots, and the guy's going around the ground. He says, there's nothing but glass here. The whole moon is covered with glass on this side. He says, I can't. He says he picked up a rock, and the rock was all covered in a black glass, and then on top of the glass were these little beads. And when they brought the beads back and they did a spectral analysis of them, these are really rich types of rocks. In other words, uranium, plutonium, all these things that we find on Earth that came from the sun, from the shell of the sun bursting out, and all these particles were in the sky and falling on us, and fire in the sky, and all these doomsday scenarios that you hear about in the Bible and in other books about what happened in the past is there. So it's very interesting. We know this happened. So He has a couple of different things. So the Die Haut Foundation was created in 1997 to accomplish 4 major goals: to fund geological expeditions to gather information on past climate and biomass of selected regions of the Earth. The point of ISTRS is from 10,000 BP before today to 120,000 before today. The collection of samples are tested and C14 dated. We believe we can determine...
Yes, carbon-14 to figure out what date.
Yeah. And carbon-14, he says, does project some information, but there are jumps in it, that he says.
Yeah, there's been lots of evidence of where maybe it may not.
May not be completely accurate, where it's accurate for a certain time, and then it seems like it jumps. So you've got more years than you really think. So it's a,
Well, maybe that has something to do with the fact that, you know, we're basing it on the word carbon-based world. Maybe at different cycles, we've been based on a different element, you know.
Well,
they say we're
either
going
that-
towards a silica-based.
Yeah, and the
existence.
other thing is, too, what I think of is when the sun throws off this stuff, then I think everything kind of changes again. So then maybe you start over, in a sense, even with the dating. So maybe it's not as,
So
bad.
yeah, so he says, you were reading, that's the first.
Yeah, the collection of the samples. We believe we can determine what side of the Earth will be facing the sun when it novas, and when it... We've
So
heard
in
of...
other words,
we've heard
which
of
side's going to get fried?
Yeah, exactly. We've heard of supernovas, and we see those all the time, and this is when the star explodes completely. Okay, so these small novas is where they think the crust is being built over and over again, and then it goes to the surface, and then it's being thrown off.
You're
And it
talking
does-
about the crust of the
The
sun.
crust of the sun, yeah,
Right.
excuse me, yeah. So this happens in a cyclical, and they've had several stars that do it every 12 years, some do it every 20 years, some they've never seen them do it, so maybe it's the cycle is longer. The sun apparently does it about every 12,000 years. And Voigt says he's nailed it to 12,046. And he says the next one is going to be 2042 or 46, whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, that's...
So at least we have a date, and we can, you know.
yeah,
and
if we want to believe that, we can change our lives. And figure
yeah,
out
and
we
he
can-
says the best place to be probably is on a high mountain someplace in Africa. He says Africa seems to be the one thing that over and over again doesn't, I mean, stuff happens there, but not as bad. And the proof is that all the large animals, this is the only place they show up. All the large animals in Australia are gone. All the large animals in North America are gone. South America, they're gone. And in Europe, they're gone. And Siberia and China, they're gone. So this is the only place. So maybe we'll, 2044, maybe we'll head over to Africa. You know, that type of thing.
Set up
And for
shop
my
over
100th
there.
birthday, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. But anyway, they have found the proof in very different things. So you see these guys on the moon, and they're just shocked. And Ben Davidson said...
Well, you know, they're either shocked or they're just got a great little, you know, skit going on there. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Warner
hey,
Brothers?
Yeah, it could be Warner
well,
Brothers
there
back
are those
studio.
rumors, too, but I
Either way, you know,
I believe we're there.
you know,
I do.
I don't know that I do believe that we were there.
Yeah, well-
I think the pictures all look pretty hokey, but
Well, when I went to Houston...
and I
you know-
mean, just the sheer fact. Excuse me, but you know, they're saying, well, we've lost that technology to go to the moon.
No.
I was listening to
I
the
see-
NASA scientist saying, well, we've lost that technology. Excuse me? You know, we've taken computers to whole rooms down to, and
Well,
you tell us you've lost the technology? They can't reproduce it because now they know that we've got the computer power to really say this is.
Well, I've been to
funky.
the observatory in Houston. I have this piece of equipment that Lucian Randolph made, and he sent it to Houston to be tested by the astronauts. And so him and I went there and did a demonstration. And of course, they took us for a tour. They showed us all the stuff that they had, and I talked to a lot of the scientists there too. And so, you know, I'm more of a belief that this did happen. They showed us a lot of stuff that say, oh, you can't make this
There's a
stuff
lot,
up.
you know, a lot of taxpayers' money going to all these little men and their toys and
Yeah,
girls and
for sure.
toys,
Always.
and you know, maybe it's real, maybe it's not. I've come to at a point in my life where I'm researching different alternatives. I do like more of the metaphysical explanation
Yeah.
because I do think we're living in a simulation, and you know, I'm very interested in pulling some information. You know, there's a young guy here in town that's been showing us how what we're really seeing is a sun simulator, and that's really
I've seen those.
It's
Yeah.
really there's a lot of people high up that are playing a lot of games with the world, with the people's
so
minds.
maybe they're
and what
trying
we
to hide
believe.
the real thing.
Oh, there's a lot of hiding the
and
real thing.
maybe the real thing is this. So.
Maybe the real thing is this or that, and
Well, we can probably come up with thousands of different alternatives, but let's
Right.
stick to this right now. The results will be for publication. He says, we believe these gravitational anomalies are a result of very high advanced technology by a previous civilization. So he's saying that what we're finding today, the information we're finding, comes from the previous civilization that was.
or other dimensional civilizations,
That's possible
time,
too.
space.
The third reason to fund research is covering the causes of the past ice ages, geomagnetic reversals, polar reversals, mass extinctions, and other phenomena that are related to this. And I think when we get back, we'll talk about the polar reversal.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Make sure and pick up our Health Signals newsletter, guys. News you can lose and the Primal Edge, and we'll be right back after this short break.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. And that's what we have here, folks. The opportunity of a lifetime for most. I'm Steve Rhodes, the 2018 Market Timer of the Year. And on Thursday, January 24th at 4:15 p.m., I'll share with you what I see as the next great buying opportunity. This free workshop, sponsored by Ninja Trader, is available to everyone. There's no gimmicks, no credit cards, no lengthy sign-up, and you don't have to be a subscriber to my award-winning daily newsletter service, Mastering Probability. All you need is a name, email address, and contact number. Just click on my name on the homepage of TFNN.com to gain access to the live or archived version of the next great buying opportunity. Folks, everything in life happens for us, not to us. The fact is, this workshop is happening for you so that you can learn how, why, and when to take advantage of the next great buying opportunity. Timing is everything. So sign up today on the homepage of TFNN.com.
Hi folks, Tom O'Brien here. If you'd like to get my daily newsletter, Market Insights, then now is a great time to sign up for a 30-day free trial. Every morning by 9:30, I send out my morning letter to subscribers with market commentary on a variety of markets, currencies, and commodities to keep investors up to date on the day's trading action. Included in Market Insights are specific buy and sell recommendations for stocks, ETFs, and even options, with stops and price targets included for every trade in my newsletter. If you'd like to try my newsletter risk-free for 30 days, then head over to the front page of TFNN and you'll find Market Insights under Trading Newsletters. I use my years of trading experience to bisect and dissect the market every morning and give my subscribers the most important information they need to know for the day ahead. I even issue afternoon updates for my subscribers whenever warranted with important market action. I'm always scouring the market for the next great trading opportunity. Sign up for your 30-day free trial to my daily newsletter, Market Insights, today by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Wow! Go get 'em, folks.
TFNN has put together the best lineup of live content for traders by traders every market day, featuring some of the most knowledgeable and respected minds in the business. TFNN broadcasts 5 days a week live from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We have live programming every market day during market hours. Every morning, Larry Pesavento kicks off the trading day live at 9 a.m. and breaks down the opening bell with Trade What You See. At 10 a.m., Tom and Tommy O'Brien host the TFNN Bull Bear Trading Hour, followed at 11 a.m. by the team at TD Ameritrade and Thinkorswim with Fast Market. Basil Chapman hosts the Tiger Technicians Hour at noon, Steve Rhodes at 1 p.m. with the Trader's Edge, Dave White at 2 p.m. with the Power Trading Hour, and Tom O'Brien anchors the daily lineup from 3 till 5 as host of the Tom O'Brien Show. Tune in to TFNN's Tiger TV on your computer or mobile device, and you can always find us streaming on YouTube. TFNN.com, educating investors.
And welcome back to the show. So,
We're talking about Earth's catastrophe cycles, and we've been talking a little bit about this organization that is headed up by Douglas Voigt, and they're members of the Geological Society, the Diehold Foundation. And the objective of the research is to find a causal relationship between geological cycles and the astronomical cycles within an informational theory of existence, such as the theory of multidimensional reality. And this research will include ancient human history centered around such cycles and its effects on men. And it's going to be publicly distributed. So it sounds like they're pulling together what we know and what we don't know. And I liked seeing that picture that Douglas Voigt has of the toroid field.
Yeah, and this is a carbon atom. This is how it travels, and it's very interesting because if you put a globe here, you'll find that the pole right now is up here, our North Pole, and it's actually traveling from this point here, and it's going to go down into the
That's
Indian
called the
Ocean.
ecliptic. Yeah, it's really the ecliptic. And what we're seeing here is the torus field. And we can see through syncretism that we are a torus field. Our human body, we have our electromagnetic and torus field. That's where we get the word torus, meaning,
and
or
this
torso.
line, and if you take this and make a coat hanger out of it, you have 22 views of this wave superimposed on the torus shape, creates the Hebrew alphabet. So when you hold this shape in different forms, it creates, and that's where he says the code comes from. And it also happens to be how the pole will be traveling, they think. So right now, the pole has been moving in the last 50 to 100 years faster than it's ever moved before. And we think that it's going to be happening soon. So we don't know what's going to happen. We've never been around for a pole shift, but it looks like we might be around for this one. I don't know. Anyway, it's interesting, folks. You have to do your own research to get a hold of this stuff. I find it very fascinating. I'm going to continue my research with Ben Davidson, Dr. Voigt, and all these other people because I'm very interested in this, and I hope you come along for the ride. If you have any questions about this, you can always reach me at nico@tfnn.com or Paige @tfnn.com, and we're going to be back next week, so hope you enjoyed this, and
We'll
see you next time. Bye-bye.
Be good.
If you haven't checked out the newsletters page of TFNN.com, what are you waiting for? All of the TFNN newsletters are informative, up-to-date, affordable, and a must-have for every trader looking to gain a competitive informational edge in today's markets. TFNN newsletters cover every aspect of the markets to offer you the very latest in market news. Plus, new subscribers get to test drive our newsletters risk-free for 30 days. From all aspects of the markets, including stocks, bonds, metals, commodities, and tech, there's a newsletter to fit your needs exclusively from TFNN. Stay informed each day you trade and get that competitive edge that will help you stay ahead of the game. Visit our newsletters page by going to TFNN.com and click the newsletters button near the top of the page. TFNN.com, educating investors.